and welcome to Bath Garden Center. Today we are going to talk a little bit more in depth about how to fertilize your orchids and what type of fertilizer to look for when you want to fertilize them. So we have quite a few different fertilizers we can use for orchids, and a lot of the common ones you're going to find are going to be like these here, powder fertilizers, and you can also find liquid fertilizers as well. And all of these are going to be concentrated, so we will be diluting them with water. And with our different types of orchid fertilizers, we have some that focus on the growth of your plant and some that are going to focus on blooming and the brilliance of your petals. So with our different types of fertilizers, the growth and the bloom boosting fertilizers, when would we use each of them? And with our growth fertilizers, we can actually use this type of fertilizer for much of your orchid's life, especially if your orchid has dropped its blooms or it's focusing its energy on the health of the plant. That is a great time to get your growth fertilizers going. It is super important to use growth fertilizers whenever you see your orchid producing new leaves or its stems are starting to grow again. That is a great time to make sure that you're fertilizing and giving it the food that it needs. And just remember, if your orchid has dropped its blooms, it is still a living houseplant. So that's why it is so important to make sure that we're fertilizing it and giving it the food that it needs. And as far as focusing on the petals and the blooms of your orchid, that is where we can use our bloom boosting fertilizer. It is great to start using this before your orchids start blooming, and we can help your orchids bloom as well by giving them the cooler temperatures at night that they need, around 60 degrees at night, and then those warmer temps during the day, plus your fertilizer, and you will start to see your orchids bloom again. It is typical for orchids to bloom around the springtime, but they can bloom all throughout the year if they're under the right conditions. So how often would we fertilize our orchids? And typically when you're first starting, it is best to err on the side of less is more when you're fertilizing, because we don't want to over-fertilize and burn our plants. We recommend fertilizing diluted weekly, and your orchids will really show their growth if you are fertilizing them weekly. So even though when we have our fertilizers, we are already diluting them with water, if you're fertilizing weekly, we want to weaken that dilution even more. So just remember, if you are going to fertilize weekly, dilute your recommended amount a little bit more so that we're not burning our plants. And as with any other houseplant, when we fertilize, we are going to do that at the time your plant needs watering. So just make sure with your orchids that you're looking for those signs that it needs water, say that be dry medium or your roots are starting to turn a silvery light green color, then you know that your orchid is ready to be watered, and we can fertilize then as well. So how would we fertilize? And with orchids, you would fertilize this kind of the same way that you water. We don't want to fertilize on top of the leaves or on top of the crowns. We don't want water sitting on our plant. So what we're going to do is give our orchid a nice little soak in that very diluted fertilizing solution. Let it sit for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then we're going to drain it all out, and we can put it back in our orchid pot, and it is good to go. If you need more information on basic orchid care, make sure to check out our other videos, and as well as give us a call here at Bath or shoot us a message, and we would be happy to help with any questions you might have. Thank you for watching, and we hope you have a good day. Hello everyone, and welcome to Bath Garden Center.
I need you really quick.
But when their buds have fallen, or when, actually can I try that again? It is, dang it, where am I going with that?